Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Getting to Know the Author of the Future Ready Performance Playbook. Our guest for today is Hiba Tanvir. Hi, Hiba. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Will, how are you?
I'm good. How about we kick it off with a quick introduction?
I love introductions. So, as Will rightfully said, my name is Hiba Tanvir, and I am one of the authors in this upcoming very human book, Future Ready Performance Playbook. And, since I was little, Will, I was always fascinated by emotions. I remember while other girls were reading fashion magazines, they were watching, different kinds of movies and all these romance novels. I was into reading self help books. I was reading books on emotions. I was reading books like Seven Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And I think my fascination for emotions and understanding how, as humans, our emotions are such an incredible treasure. It just kind of led me to observe people, dynamics, emotions very closely. And so as I grew up and got older and got into corporate world and enjoyed professional success, I realized I was often called to be the one to train, mentor on better communication, on how to be more motivated, on how to have difficult conversations. And that's where I was like, wait a minute, this is a skill, a gift that I have that I cannot keep to myself. I want to be able to share. And that's where I got into pursuing emotional intelligence and how we can use our emotions intelligently for just more success everywhere, not just work, but at home, in friendships, at partnerships, and whatever.
Wow, thank you for sharing the story about your gift. It's amazing how a gift that you had when you were young is now what you do on a day to day.
Will, can I tell you another fun fact?
Yep, go ahead.
So, the first word that I learned to write, and I had no clue what this word meant, but I would doodle this word everywhere, was zest in big block capital letters. Now, what 5-year-old knows what zest means? But I would just write that word everywhere. And it wasn't until just very recently that I was, kind of thinking of the work that I do and what is my purpose with emotional intelligence, helping people feel more zest in what they do. And I'm like, wait a minute, why does this word mean so much to me? And that's where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the word I was writing as a 5-year-old. So sometimes you're writing your purpose at 5 without even knowing it.
Oh my goodness, that's an amazing story. I want to give our audience a little bit of a perspective about sections because each of our co-author wrote a section. A section allows the author to deep dive into the topic and give our audience enough detail that they could use information, learn from that different chapters written to allow them to grow and develop. That's why we wrote sections. A section consists of 3 to 4 chapters, so it allows the author to expand their creativity and showcase their talent and ability. So that's what sections author is all about, and just want everyone to know more about it. And let me ask you the next question. What inspired you to write your section?
Will, it so beautifully came together that over the last 2 years, a lot of the work and the workshops and trainings that I had built had a very human centered approach. They were not just, I'm going to talk and you're going to listen. I always had this idea, and coming from an early childhood background, I knew that work has to, anything for it to have an impact and for it to stick, has to be able to stimulate and tap into multiple senses. So I would always show up with Play-Doh, and I was having CEOs and executives kind of just play. So when you asked me to be a part of this project, I remember sitting and thinking of, wait a minute, I've been using a lot of Play-Doh. And most recently, I was getting a lot of demand for people who were asking me, organizations asking me to come and talk about the pause. And that's where literally your book, and in writing it, I was able to piece it together as the play and pause methodology because it was something that I had seen work. I had seen the energy in the room change when you allow people to play. when you teach people how to pause, they'll come back and say, hey, that technique you taught has saved me from so many arguments with my wife or so many power struggles with my kid. And so the motivation for writing these chapters was that I felt I wanted to bring to light and share with people the power of the most basic, simple human activities like play, like pause. I wanted to help people understand that just the way we view our financial assets and our financial wealth, we can also start viewing our emotional wealth and investing in that. And that has far more return on investment for future generations than maybe your financial wealth does. So I introduce in my chapters the idea of net emotional worth, how to calculate it. I help people see that all emotions are welcome, all emotions are valid, but all emotions do not have the same value. So, the importance of cultivating high value emotions, the importance of limiting emotional leakages to have a higher net emotional worth. That was kind of what I really wanted to share in my chapters with people.
There's one concept when I was reading your chapter about emotional currency. Can you elaborate a little bit about emotional currency?
Yep. So, my hope was that money is a very clear, established, universal measure of value, worth, importance, success. And our goal is to save money, right? And invest it in the right places. Well, I using that very established idea, I kind of blasphemously push into the idea that what if your emotions were also a currency? And so every time you get angry and triggered, or you get, you forget your purpose, you're literally opening up your wallet and just throwing money out. Now, if I was to tell you I'm doing that, you'd be like, yeah, but that's not really smart. But yet, we do that with our emotions. And what are we basically doing? We're draining and we're very irresponsibly using our emotional wealth.
Well, thank you for sharing the explanation for that concept. Before we close the interview, what do you want to share with our audience on our upcoming events?
We have lots of exciting things coming up, and that's why I'm so proud and honored to be part of the Human Advantage Factor, because with Will's vision of really bringing this humanness alive, we're about creating events, we're about putting out material, books. So we have our book launching on the 8th of August, so please join us for a virtual book launch. You can sit in your pajamas with your coffee cup, you don't got to go anywhere. It's as simple as it is. But you get to meet our entire lineup of amazing thinkers that have contributed in this book. So I think that's very exciting. You get access to those people, you get to ask questions and connect with them. See, what possibilities are available for you through that. The other event that I'm very excited about is the one coming up on October 17th, which is all about kind of this book in action. So we talk about the play and pause, we talk about sustainable success. We have a private book signing, and that's happening in New Jersey. So we would love for you to be a part of it. It is going to be such a great investment in your future, especially in the artificial intelligence era.
Well, thank you, Hiba, for your time. Have a good day.
You too.